A dramatic Brazilian Grand Prix saw two rivals collide once again, as they did so often last year when they were scrapping for the world title, and neither man would give an inch. Who was responsible for the collision that happened in Brazil, Hamilton or Verstappen? Stay tuned to find out. Verstappen's racecraft and conduct in close battles have been widely praised this year, but it was the Red Bull driver who copped a penalty for causing a collision with Hamilton as they fought for second place on the first safety car restart. After the race was restarted on lap 7, the two drivers got into a collision. As they approached the Senna S, Hamilton, who was running in second place, moved to the inside of the track to protect his position from Verstappen. After running deep into the bend, Verstappen was able to pass Hamilton's car on the outside of the turn. As they rounded the left-hander, Hamilton was able to regain the lead over Verstappen. The Red Bull driver then made an effort to repass the Mercedes on the inside of turn 2. That was where they made contact. While Hamilton was able to continue, Verstappen suffered damage to his front wing and needed to make a pit stop for repairs. Verstappen, who was sent spinning off track and, as a result, fell to the back of the field, complained that Hamilton had left him with nowhere to go, adding that the Briton was not interested in racing him. Hamilton dropped to 8th place on the road but was able to make his way back up to 2nd come the checkered flag, but the Dutchman eventually crossed the line in 6th position. Following the collision, Verstappen told his race engineer, "He left me no space." Later, when he was told he had been given a penalty for the collision, Verstappen said, "Where did they expect me to go? He just closed the door on me." Verstappen explained, "He went around the outside, and I immediately felt he was not going to leave space, so I just went for it. He didn't leave me space, so I knew we were going to get together." As Hamilton returned to turn 1 on the lap after the collision, he said, "That was not a racing incident." Hamilton said he didn't really have much of an opinion about the collision. Red Bull's double world champion Verstappen was handed a 5-second penalty for causing the collision, a penalty with which he vehemently disagreed. Verstappen said, "I thought after last year we had maybe forgot about their rivalry and could finally race. First of all, I thought, okay, let's have a good race, but you can feel it when you're alongside a driver. He had no intention of leaving me space. I had no intention to back out. I didn't agree with the penalty. I was surprised, but if you ask me, I would do the same again. Absolutely. It's a shame. I want to race, but when the other doesn't want to race with you." When asked about Verstappen's remarks, Lewis Hamilton responded that they did not disturb him too much and added that his success in the sport made him a target. Hamilton said, "I think it's natural when you have the success and the numbers on your chest that you become a bit of a target, but it's okay. It's nothing that I have not dealt with before." This coming weekend in Abu Dhabi, Hamilton, who ended the race in second place behind his teammate George Russell, will have one more opportunity to snap his winless streak for the season. You're enjoying this video, right? You definitely don't want to miss out on other amazing videos. So all you have to do is hit the subscription button. It's that easy. Thanks for doing that. Let's move on. The stewards handed Verstappen a 5-second penalty for the collision, but many fans were left undecided over who was to blame. It was even noted in the stewards' ruling that Hamilton could have left a bit more room, meaning Verstappen was predominantly, not wholly, to blame. The argument regarding who has the right to a corner and who can make such overtaking moves became more apparent last year, in particular through the on-track duels that took place between Verstappen and Hamilton, with the former driver getting his elbows out occasionally a little bit too sharply. The FIA released a series of guidelines to drivers about appropriate overtaking conduct before the 2022 season. These guidelines help explain to some extent why Verstappen was given the punishment that he was at Interlagos. According to the guidelines, in order for a driver overtaking on the inside to be given sufficient room, it had to have a significant portion of the car alongside. The maneuver that involves passing another vehicle must be carried out in a secure and under control manner. What is defined as a significant portion is at the steward's discretion. Still, the main consideration has to be if the overtaking car's front tyres are alongside the car by no later than the apex of the corner. Even though Verstappen's front wheels were alongside Hamilton's car as they neared the apex, the stewards did not feel there was complete control and claimed that his overtake at turn 1 had not been completed. The stewards' report stated, Verstappen attempted to pass Hamilton on the outside of turn 1 by braking very late. He did not complete the pass in turn 1 and his excess speed compromised his entry into turn 2, at which point he made contact with Hamilton. Therefore, despite the fact that Verstappen may have theoretically had a major piece of his car alongside Hamilton's, it was not possible for it to be done in a safe and controlled manner because he was moving at such a high speed. Because of this incident, it is clear that nothing substantial has changed between Hamilton and Verstappen since their intense championship battle a year ago. And the only reason we didn't get a clash like this so far in 2022 is because of the W13. Since Mercedes has designed and updated their car to be a comparable level to the RB18, this is their first true wheel-to-wheel duel, and it ended just like many of their battles in 2021 ended. Time has not mellowed their rivalry, as shown by Hamilton's brief verdict on the incident after the race. What can I say? You know how it is with Max. Many people thought things might cool off between the pair now because they haven't been fighting each other for a title, but all it confirms to us is that their on-track fireworks will continue for as long as they both have cars capable of fighting one another. That wasn't the only incident that occurred at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Earlier, Daniel Ricciardo's dismal season had hit another low point as he made a swift exit from the Grand Prix after a tangle with Kevin Magnussen. Starting 11th on the grid, 3 places behind Magnussen, the Australian found himself right behind Haas on the midfield on the opening lap and looked to get past on the inside. However, the McLaren made contact with the rear of the vehicle driven by the Dane, which caused it to spin around. The backward momentum of the Haas caused it to collide with the MCL36 driven by Riccardo, causing both cars to crash into the barrier and be unable to continue. It meant an early end to Ricciardo's penultimate race for McLaren, as he is being dropped at the end of the season in favour of his rookie compatriot Oscar Piastri. Strong performances, like the one he had in Mexico the last time out, have been few and far between for the 33-year-old this year, which is why his contract was ended a year early, and this was his 3rd retirement of the campaign. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc also briefly found himself in the barrier during the start of the race after a collision with Lando Norris, but was able to keep going. However, like Verstappen, his victory and even podium hopes look to have gone. Currently, Mercedes is trailing Ferrari in the Constructors' title by 19 points, heading into the final race of the year. However, the team is eager to achieve what would be a spectacular turnaround by finishing the season in 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship. While Red Bull and Alpine tried to manipulate the positions of their drivers by using team orders, Mercedes resisted the urge to demand that its drivers hold station after a late safety car period. Instead, Russell was instructed that the pair were free to race, but to simply be mindful of each other. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff, who elected to skip his 3rd race since 2013, is already in the UAE with his family. The Austrian watched the Brazilian Grand Prix from Abu Dhabi, staying involved throughout the weekend via intercom. He said there was no question of prioritising Hamilton at the expense of Russell. Wolff said, "I think as a team, we have always stood for free racing, and we have never done otherwise unless a driver is mathematically not in contention anymore for the championship, and the other one is. We were actually looking forward to them racing with the same tyre, and we discussed it ahead of the race in the strategy meeting." Wolff cautioned his drivers that the desert track's long straights might make it more difficult for them to navigate than Interlagos. He said, "I think Abu Dhabi will be much more difficult because we are still too draggy, but we know why." Wolff added, "We had a good upgrade that we brought to Austin. We were good in Mexico, and now we outperformed everyone in Brazil. That shows that we are getting there in understanding how to unlock the performance of the car, and that is a good indication for next year." Now over to you. Who was at fault? Did Verstappen deserve the 5-second time penalty? Or was it just a racing incident? Let me know in the comment section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.